Hi everybody, I'd like to show you my submission for Wild Orchid Crafts Designer Call. This is a paper bag album that I've sewn through and through, and I've used primarily Wild Orchid Crafts products throughout the book, which I'll show to you as we get through it. So this album started out with this fairy that I've fussy cut, and I've popped her up on pop dots, and I kind of wanted that feeling that she was sitting in a garden or a meadow of flowers. So I started layering Wild Orchid Crafts grass, and then started building with the ivy leaves behind it. And then I did the calla lilies and some of the mini roses that they have. The daffodils, I've used their metal photo corners on the corners of the book on both the front and the back cover. I also have used their peach seam binding here. And when you open it up on the first page, I've ran their seam binding again down here as a little catch and a pole here. And on this photo corner here, I've sewn this seam binding and made a flower out of it. And I used their ivy leaf again. And on the other side, another photo corner. This page over here, I've done the same thing. I've made a flower out of their seam binding and used their ivy leaf. Same thing on the other side, photo corner. Now this is one of their curly wild roses that I used with one of their skeleton leaves. I just popped it up there. And this is a pull-out tab that I made. And I left these kind of blank because this book was getting pretty thick with all the Wild Orchid Crafts flowers going through it. So this page here, I've done the same thing using, I believe this was the camel hair seam binding. And I made flowers out of these again. And I just ran some lace back here so that this little journaling card could slip in and out. And there's a skeleton leaf back here. Pull this out and you've got your photo corners again with their seam binding up top. Same thing on this page. I've made another one of their seam binding flowers and ran the lace here as a little pocket for this little journaling card. This is another page in the album, photo corners. Now this is my centerpiece, and here I've taken some ribbon and I've made this into a flower, and then I've layered the seam binding on top of it, and then I put a little bird charm in the middle of this, and then these pull out, and then you've got your photo corners here and here. And then if you flip them over, you've got your photo corners there. And then again in the paper bag here, pocket, you have the bigger photo mat. Now this page here, I used their sunflower daisy, I believe is what they call them. And I've used these mini rose leaves that they had, and I just glued them down kind of get that look that I was looking for. And this is a double slider pocket, so you can slide this out and put your photos there. And over here on this page again, I've used the same flower with their rose leaves. And this is the tag that I made to go in this pocket. And this is Cherry Blossoms by Wild Orchid Crafts. Now these are their leaf head pins, and I thought that they looked really good as the leaves for these flowers, so I tucked them up in there to make them look like that, and then I capped it off with this bead here so that you wouldn't get poked. So that's the tag, and this is again is their seam binding at the top that I crinkled up. Then up here I've used another one of their leaf head pins, and I've made this little pin here, and then again their skeleton leaves. And then this is just a Sizzix die cut that I did, and I put their flower on top. This is a clock. I believe it's a Tim Holtz clock, but I ran the Wild Orchid Crafts seam binding behind it to kind of just give it some dimension, a little more dimension, and make it a little softer. And then the Prima Bling I ran down over here. Now this page flips out, and here again I've run their seam binding and done another one of the sunflower daisies. And here's just another seam binding flower that I made with the little butterfly charm in the middle that I put in there. And on this page here, here's another fairy that I've popped up on Pop Dots and fussy cut her out. And I did a skeleton leaf behind her. I did some of the cherry blossoms again, some of the Prima bling, and then this is a pocket, and this slides out. Again, you got your photo corner here, and then you've got one more larger page here that slides out. And then the back of the book, I ran their photo corners again, the peach seam binding so it would match the cover. And then to cover up the brads that I had on the front cover, I just punched out these maple leaves and put them over to cover up the brad backs. So that's my submission. I hope you all like it. Take care. Thank you.
Dreams that you dream of, dreams really do come true. Ooh, someday you wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind. Be where trouble melts like lemon drops, high above the chimney top, that's where you find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, and the dreams that you dare to, oh why can't I? Someday I wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind. Be where trouble melts like a lemon drops, high above the chimney top, that's where